life coach, and I've been doing life coaching for since 2015. So anyway, 9 years now. But I was actually thinking here while I was listening to all of you, uh, where did I actually come across what I'm going to present today to you, which is a very, very simple little step or tool that actually is or can be life-changing. And the reason I'm saying this is because when I actually went back here in my head, that it was in 1998, 26 years ago, it was the first time I heard about the difference between what's actually happening and what I think it's happening in my life or in the world, and what I'm thinking about and how this makes everything change. And it was actually when I heard from my partner, husband, about, for the first time, non-violent communication. So it was back then when I was introduced to the time that I was interested in non-violent communication, that I came across the concept of an evaluation is, what I'm thinking about, what's happening, and what's actually happening. So that was so impactful for me for the first time to actually hear that concept, not only hear, but then start applying. And of course, I got very excited about NVC at the time, and my husband became a trainer, and we took it to Brazil. That's where I'm originally from. But really, now doing coaching and having gone through coach training and having studied different methodologies, it's still the same simple thing that really helped me start stepping more into my own power and stop blaming the world and life for my happiness, but instead actually seeing where the problem really was, and then having the chance to change, but from inside out, rather than waiting for things or people to change for me to then feel better. So why I'm saying all this is because the title of the talk that I'm giving today, or the theme, is how to simplify your life by simplifying your mind. And that can be applied on any level, in any context, to any kind of feeling that is kind of bringing up for you is not comfortable for whatever reason. And the reason being is we complicate things in our minds first, and then things get complicated. So I get a lot of people who are, or clients who come to me, or people who come to me, they're overwhelmed, maybe outside, maybe inside, meaning, they think they've got too much to do, they've got too much to handle, there's too much, not enough time. That kind of pattern is very common. But also there are the people who are organized, they don't think time is so much a problem, but their inner chaos is very stressful. So the environment they have inside themselves is actually what's causing stress, and it's what's making life so complicated. So that includes me, because I was preparing for this presentation today, actually yesterday, and I was kind of just running through and asking my husband, for some feedback. And he said, why are you complicating it? It's like, yeah, that's enough what you have there. And it from, that was a reminder, from him, not just from a concept, but it's from, as someone was saying, from life experience, not just because it's kind of transformed my life, but how much it actually impacts other people's lives. And it doesn't need to be complicated. So anyway, let's go. So if you actually just remember, or if you didn't think about it in this small group, though you did have enough time, a lot of time there to think about it. So is there anything in your life that is causing stress a little bit, a lot, or that feels a bit complicated and you'd like to solve, and why, is that you think that's happening, and what could be the solution. So I'm going to start sharing some things here with you. I hope I can do that. Let's see. Okay. And okay. Sorry, just 1 second. So I'd like you to, if you can think again or reconnect to what you thought the problem was and what the solution could be. While I'm doing this, as you can see, I'm not the most techy person. Okay, here you go. Something got wrong here. Hold on a second. Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to have a nice presentation. And maybe it's complicated already. Okay. It's just my signal because I'm using Canva. Right. Here you go. I hope. If it doesn't work this way, there you go. Can you all see the slide saying, what is the problem? Yay. Okay, no more problem. Yeah. So what is the problem? So I guess what you came up with was the problem is in what is happening. So that means what's happening in my life or what's not happening in my life. So what I want to call it here is a life situation. So, and for the sake of this exercise and this presentation, I'm calling it a circumstance. So a life situation could be, the amount of money you have in the bank, amount of clients, your health, or body image, or people's behaviors, whatever it is that you see as a situation that is causing the problem. So we call it life situation for now, okay? So what happens here is you're going to see very soon that this is not actually the problem, but we think that's the problem. And then another problem that we have here is that we mix the things that we think is the problem without noticing. So the circumstance here is, life situation, X amount of money in the bank, X number of clients, or whatever it is that your brain is seeing as the problem, as well as the thoughts you're having about it. We mix them all in the same bundle and say, well, this is why I'm, not feeling happy enough, or why life is complicated, why I'm stressed. But the problem here is because we're mixing up the two. So why is that a problem? It's because when we see or when we describe the problem as this mix, we don't actually see where the problem really is. And so just to make it clear, there's a difference between a circumstance or the life situation that I have and a thought that I'm having about it. Very different, totally different. And what happens is we just say that is the problem. The problem is I don't have enough clients, for instance, or I don't have enough money. So there's already a mix there of, okay, the amount of clients I have is 3, and my interpretation of it is I don't have enough. So whenever there is an adjective or good or bad, That's already me with my thoughts and my interpretation about what's happening. And that makes it really difficult to solve because, first of all, we think that's the reality, which is not, is our own inner reality, the way we're looking and seeing it. But it makes it really difficult because then we don't see where the actual problem is. So what is the difference then between a circumstance and a thought? A huge difference. So the circumstance is the situation, or you want to call it maybe the fact that what's happening. So there's a list here, so, or not a list, so there's a little description here. So a circumstance is always neutral. It's always something that everybody can agree with, and that is not debatable. It's like here in the example, the sun came up today. So everybody agrees with you, unless, maybe they don't believe the sun came up, but, this is like, okay, there's no discussion about it. It's not good or bad. It doesn't cause you any, believe you or not, even the more extreme ones, someone dying or someone is killed or in prison, ultimately that fact doesn't have the power to make you feel anything. It's what you are thinking about it that will make that emotion come up for you, which is like where the thoughts come in. So thoughts, I like calling them, they're sentences in our heads, they are beliefs, they are, opinions, you can call it whatever you want to call, but it's what actually brings the weight and the drama to the equation. So I love, and if you can just take this with you, take away this last line here, is everything. Nothing that happens in your life is amazing or terrible until you decide to have a thought about it to make it that way. It's as simple as that, but also as powerful as that. So how does it come to then practicing it? And how do I then how am I able to make this differentiation? Because it's really very tempting to actually believe that the problem is I don't have enough money or I don't have enough clients, and that is the reality. So it's only by actually stopping and looking at what's really happening outside, or what is the situation from a neutral point of view, that you're actually able to see where the weight and drama is being caused, and then you can do something about it. Because when you are in the situation, or me including, it's really difficult. When I get coached and my coach goes, well, can you see this and can you see that? I go, no, I didn't see that, because that it's the experience we're having. It's like, yeah, and there isn't enough time, there isn't enough money, or whatever it is. So yeah, so it's either a self-coaching thing or someone helping you, but this is like what I'm giving you here today is something that you can do straight away, and even right now, as we look at the situation maybe that you thought or you didn't think, but you could bring it up now, what you think the problem is. So just as a reminder or summary here, a circumstance or a fact or situation is always neutral, always neutral. It describes, sorry, there's an R missing here, describes a fact. It's not good or bad. It doesn't hurt you, and it doesn't make you feel wonderful either. So it's both ways, and everyone has to agree. On the other hand, on the other side, a thought or a belief or an opinion has a judgment, an interpretation. This is the best one here. It's optional. So this is what I want you to remember. A thought or a belief I have about something and you have about something of what's happening in your life right now is optional. It's true for those having it. So let's not totally say, okay, this is not true, it's just a thought you're having. I mean, it is, but that's what the person is experiencing right now. But the gift and the important thing is to see that there is a difference between the two. Because when you actually see here that you are experiencing this because you're having a thought, it takes you to a more like a place of ownership and responsibility in a good way. It's like, okay, this is the experience I'm having, but because I'm opting and I want to keep thinking and believing this. And it always triggers an emotion. So a thought you're having, an opinion, I mean, unless we are very, very skilled, or even then, I think we're human beings, it will trigger an emotion. So just be aware that this column here, where you're having your thought, where you're feeding your thought, where you're sharing your thought and your beliefs and you're emphasizing it, is where I call it the drama begins and the drama builds up. And it's much more difficult to actually see a solution or to even be open to a solution, because when we actually like the drama, as we do as human beings, good drama or bad drama, it's kind of tempting to be there, and people empathize or sympathize with you. You've got things to talk about, complain about. So it's basically being in the victim kind of world, but it's kind of comfy at the same time. So it's like, okay, I'm here under my blankets and it's cozy and I'm just going to stay here. But then it's just an option. It's a question. Do I want to stay here or do I want to look for something else, like different thoughts about it? So I'm going to give you an example. On Monday, a client came to me and we're just starting the session, and I asked her how she was, and she said, yeah, it's fine, but, and then when the but comes, there's a whole list of things of what's not working. And she was actually presenting as like, a fact. I don't have enough time. I've got a lot of things to do. I have to work today, and I'm meeting a friend. So she presented the problem, as some of these here. I'm a bad mom because she was going to go out in the evening. So that's okay. So in this example, I helped her see exactly what was happening and not what the problem that she thought was. Because here, the thing is, this is the problem, is the way she's thinking, but she actually was presenting me as this is the reality. There isn't enough time on the day. I need to wait until I'm older to have more time. And side note, she works in an old people's home. And she actually told me that one of the old ladies was telling her how bored she feels these days because she's older and she doesn't have enough to do. So she's got too much time. And then we're going, you see, it's so like, it really depends on how you look at whatever it is. So she gave me this as the problems, but she didn't actually see that these were just thoughts that she was having. The way she was presenting this problem was, this is what's happening. This is the reality. So how do you actually get to see what is actually happening? You go back to a circumstance and the facts and what's actually neutral, and just describing what's happening. So in her situation here was, like asking her questions, and then you can ask yourself, so what's actually happening? Describe it. You can write it down or you can just think about it, is the facts. So in her situation was, she was working that day from 2 to 8. She had 5 things to do before leaving the house. She had agreed to meet a friend in the evening. So that's exactly what was happening when she was able to describe in a neutral way without getting all the drama of her thoughts involved in it. And that's fine. So what happens here is, once you see just from a neutral perspective the situation without putting any good or bad in it, you're able to actually see that there is less weight than you think there is, because this is like everything she was thinking and believing about it. And there's some other ones here, which actually made her feel what? Really confused and blaming herself. And she felt stressed. She felt shameful. I mean, there's so many emotions there. And what we want here in this exercise is that it can bring you to a simpler space. So why is it related to simplifying your life by simplifying your mind? Is because once And this is the first, back to NVC or the coaching I learned and I do. It's just a very first step, but it brings and it starts breaking, brings the awareness, starts breaking the drama. Because the drama is what complicates our lives, our inner drama about what's happening, small or big. That's where the complication starts. That's where the stress is built up because of all this drama here. So once we're able to actually just simplify by, okay, what is actually happening, and just describe in a neutral way, this is like not theory. This is in my life and in my work. It brings such a relief already. It's like, oh, that's what's happening. And I was thinking all of this here. So now it's the time to what? To be curious, to be open to, okay, you see, I didn't actually realize I was actually thinking all this. I was really believing that was what was happening. So why is this useful? First of all, it brings you awareness about where the stress is, where the complication is. It's not for, please, not an exercise to start blaming yourself. It's like, oh, wow, really have I been doing all this time, believing all these crazy thoughts and going on? Yeah, but that's fine. It's not about blaming. It's about being aware. Because once you're aware, you can only solve something when you know what the problem is, right? So once you are aware of what you were creating, of what you were complicating in your head, and then in your life, you're then able to go, okay, remember, Katia told me in her presentation, this column here is optional. Woo! Yes, so I have an option. And that's a second, stage, and then the third stage, and so on. But for now, if you know this is like an awareness exercise, and then you have an option, and be gentle with yourself. Don't try and rush to change anything. If you feel and if it flows, yeah, okay, you can start, changing the way you're looking at things. But just for the sake of simplifying or start simplifying, the secret is, and really is, again, I'm not talking just from concept, is starting here, because that will neutralize your emotions. It will neutralize your state of being, if you can start looking at what's actually happening. So you can use it in any situation. Get a piece of paper if you can, anywhere you are, a napkin. Just, okay, what actually is happening? And you make 2 columns. I love doing that. Just make 2 columns. What is the fact and what am I thinking about it? And just by doing this, it will, be in front of you, kind of clearing out your mind all that you've been thinking, believing, giving power to, and giving energy without noticing. That's the whole thing. Once you do this, start doing this, you start noticing what actually was creating or has been creating the stress. I have no idea about the time, guys, so maybe you can give me like, this is it, because it's nearly finished anyway. But if you could take, 3 things here, I'd love to offer this. So see where the problem really, really is. And I do believe it's in our minds. That's where it starts. Yeah. The way we are looking at things. So a simplified mind creates a simplified life. So what I mean by that is not just like the number of things you have or the number of hours on the day, is really like how you even to those things you look at. So I am very much into Essentialism, which is a book I highly recommend. But it has to come with the mindset of an essentialist as well. It's like how you look at your priorities, even when you're able to simplify life from outside to inside. It's like how you can look at those things in a simple and easy way. And when you feel a certain way that you don't like, ask yourself, what am I thinking? because that will give you the clue of the thoughts you're having that is causing the stress, making the complication, making life harder for yourself. Not what, why am I feeling this way? Because the mind will definitely, very likely, on default go, well, because I don't have enough money in the bank, or because I have this problem in my body, or whatever it is. So what am I thinking will give you a clue. Okay, so this is me. These are my contacts. Can put them on the box, chat box as well.